Next up, we have Derrick A. Paske presenting Getting Physical, Why This Media Professor Loves His Chainsaw.
I'm chair of the Communication Arts Department at Framingham State University, and most of what we do there is either digital or theoretical. You know, in purposeful comparison, in my artwork, I like to use mechanical tools and very physical materials, as you see here, the saw and the burl. Sometimes I don't really love my chainsaw. I respect it a lot, though, and occasionally it's the primary tool. This is a piece of oak burl, and it was, you know, primarily made with a chainsaw. It's about 21 inches tall, called tetrahedron. But most of the time, you know, we use, as Ken mentioned earlier, most of the time we use I use my chainsaw to prepare chunks of green wood, pieces of tree, essentially, to put on the lathe here in my conspicuously, you know, messy shop studio in the basement in Belmont, to prepare them to work on the lathe. Sometimes it works out really well. In this case, this piece was made from that burl that you saw in the first slide, and this is actually in the, happily, in the art collection of the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute in Boston. It's a big hollow vessel form. But I've been interested in working with my hands since I was a kid. This is my oldest known existing wood piece. It's dated 1955 on the bottom, not 1455 as my students think. And what I can tell about my younger self from this is that I got bored easily and I didn't know how to sharpen a knife. But working with physical materials like wood has a tendency to do what it wants to do at times, and so I made several pieces called Desperate Measures, which is pretending to try to fix cracks in pieces, and I actually made them in a way that I knew they wouldn't crack. This is called Spikes. There was one called Bolt Head. There's this one that's called Turnbuckles, and so on. There was one Clamps too, I think, something like that. Oh, okay, but okay, when I was getting better at this, and at some point, using the same kind of wood burning tool that I used on that totem pole when I was a kid, it cost about $12. You can get them at AC Moore Michaels. I made pieces like this and just put dots on them. People, my friends, came to think of them and referred to them as pots with dots. And I said, well, if you can make them with dots, you can change the shape of the wood burning tip, and then you can make things that look like tadpoles. And I thought, well, if they can be tadpoles, maybe they could be, ready for this, sperm. And I thought, well, maybe sperm are too sophomoric, but then I remembered this wonderful piece I love from Edvard Munch, where he has sperm swimming around the perimeter of the piece. And I thought, if it's good enough for Munch, it's good enough for me. so over the next number of years, I made what I came to refer to as sex pods. Everybody knows that sex sells, right? Well, I've made 12 of these and I've sold 11, so it works actually as a good title for a piece as well. These are hollow forms about 15 inches tall. So this is another shot, so those of you who don't know how to lay, this is a piece of tree, a walnut tree. In this case, I decided I was going to make a better version of a yew piece that you're going to see in the next slide that I was unhappy with, and so I was being precious and going to make a really fine version of the other one on the left. I thought the shoulder was too sharp in this piece, the sides were too flat, and the foot was too big proportionate to itself. So I made this really wonderful piece next to it, walnut. I thought, well, this is all getting kind of precious, and that reminded me of a guy named Gary Knox Bennett, who in the 80s made this famous piece. It's hard to see here, but up in the upper right doorway to that thing, he got tired of his own preciousness, and so after a few beers and practice wax, he drove a 16-penny nail, bam, right into the face. Outraged people in the community. So I thought, but if I'm going to wreck this thing, I got to make it exquisite first. So I started making this one. I thought I'll stick a railroad spike into it at some point. And I was just proceeding along and not thinking it through. And at some point I looked inside, and I hadn't thought that the pins would stick through. And it's really scary in there. So I thought, aha, I'll call it the Iron Maiden, because I thought, like you probably think, you know what the Iron Maiden is, this cabinet made in medieval time? It turns out that it didn't necessarily, we're not sure that it existed until the Renaissance, when there was a show of purported to be medieval torture instruments from the medieval period. But it turns out, at my age at least, and with my ears, what I find even more torturous than this is there's an Iron Maiden heavy metal rock band, and listening to that felt really torture to me. But anyway, the Iron Maiden, as it came to be known, got to be my personal masterpiece, I thought. It was in the members biennial here 2 years ago. The problem was that I didn't know what to do as an encore, and so I ran sort of stuck. So I figured what to do next. Well, of course, I made a couple of sex pots while I was at it, and then made a better version, which you can see here. And it's actually in the back of the room now. So I made another walnut piece, and there it is. That's Iron Maiden 2. And in fact, it's better. It's more beautiful, it's more perfect, it's better crafted. But I gotta admit, I really love the other one more, because I made it sort of by accident, and when I really didn't know what I was doing.